There have been a growing threat of invasion from the Russian side in the Ukraine, specifically in the eastern Ukrainian side. The eastern Ukrainian borders, which are largely dominated by pro-Russia rebels who have already taken a lot of area under their control and have called them their established republics. They have named it so and so, but the thing is, world doesn't recognize them. But the thing here at the moment is, what will happen if Russia decides to invade Ukraine? Well, there have been a lot of things that have been going on. Diplomacy is on its course, but there have been one thing that no one is noticing about, no one have cared about. If Russia invades Ukraine, what will be its impact on the global food market? That's the thing that needs to be cleared first. Because Ukraine is a major exporter of daily household products, the products that we consume, the products that are necessary for life. And these exports include a large number of agricultural supplies, mainly wheat, barley, corn. All such things are supplied by Ukraine in quite a large quantity, and specifically the wheat. The wheat is sometimes the main source of almost everything that you have in the market. That includes whether bed of wheat or completely made of wheat. So what have been turning away these things? Already the prices have been soaring thanks to the COVID, but now the things may exacerbate further if Russia decides and went for an invasion of Ukraine, because the invasion would mean a lot of disruption in the supply chain. The first of all, a lot of farmers will flee the area, and as they flee, the area would lose its harvest, and as the harvest will be lost, the exports would suffer, and as the exports would suffer, the countries depending on their import will suffer at the end of the day, because Ukraine is the fifth largest exporter of these products, these agricultural products that we primarily depend to feed our people. But now, what about all those things if Russia decides to take on the land in its control and then start all the agricultural exports from its own side? Well, that's another terrible part of the story, because when Russia invades, definitely the Western world is going to put some sanctions over them. And those sanctions, as we believe, is not going to be easy ones, because at least for the moment, for at least for a year or so on, they will sanction Russia from top to bottom. That means everything which is Russian, be it Russian agricultural exports, its gas, its petroleum, everything would be blocked so that Russia should feel the pain. So if everything would be blocked, that would mean that any bank anywhere in the world would think a lot of times before facilitating any kind of transaction to the Russians, because if they won't, they will face troubles in their business in Europe or in America, and they won't risk their business in Europe or in United States in case of facilitating any kind of transaction with Russia. So if that happens, that would mean that Russian imports will become unsustainable or will become unpayable. And if that happens, Russian imports may stop. No one would be importing from Russia. Those all those food products and all such things. And if that happens, that would be further trouble for the global food market, because no one is going to pay directly to Russia. That won't be possible under any kind of sanctions. If heavy sanctions are imposed, then what's the way forward? Russia is definitely not going to donate you all its food supplies. Definitely, it's going to hoard it, and if it hoards and if the prices continue to rise, it would create further trouble for those developing countries specifically, because a lot of developing countries are politically unstable. They risk the violence. The people may opt for violence if they are not getting the food supplies properly. If they are not getting the food, violence may emerge as a critical way to protest, and that would result in further instability in those countries, specifically countries like Lebanon, Yemen. All these countries depend a lot over Ukraine for their imports, so these countries may suffer. At the same time, countries like Egypt, Bangladesh, Pakistan, even they depend on Ukraine for their wheat imports. So if all those situation turns out in such a condition where these countries may face a shortage to import, their population whom they are already unable to feed properly would be further lightened in these respects. They would lack further supplies of these food products, and then they won't be able to serve them food again. That may result in violence, you can call it a catastrophe, because people would be unable to get the basic food items from the market, be it anywhere. Because if wheat is not available, a lot of things would also have the prices rise, and if the prices rises, that would mean already trouble increasing for all those people who are already below the poverty lines.